Hey, what's up, everyone? Going live, kind of just jumping on. I didn't actually schedule an event this time. A big part of the reason for that is I've got a lot to do today. So I wanted to jump on and chat with you guys about any questions that you might have. And of course, like always, I'm going to go through the first ones from last time. The last ones from the last one. That's what I'm going to do first. And my name is Justin Mitchell. I am the one answering your questions, whether it's related to software or business or growth or anything in between. Let me know what your questions are. I'm here to answer them. Yeah. So I'm going to jump into my actual questions from last time before I hear from you guys. So let's just do that right now. Let's see here. Common questions that I get have Enos. Enos? Is that how I pronounce it? Enos Technology Solutions. Hey, thanks so much for coming out. Appreciate it. I'm still looking for some of the questions from last time that may have not been addressed. You know, one of the things that I'm super obsessed with right now is this idea that 7,480 million people, in other words, 7.4 billion people, don't know how to code. I think that's such a huge opportunity for all of us, not just to make software, but also to help others learn how to make software too. Question from Josh Davies. Any chance we'd be able to do one of these earlier in the day? Yes, Josh, we're doing them earlier. Some days I'll do them earlier, some days I'll do them later. I'll try and stagger them, so just make sure that you subscribe to get everything, and also click that bell for notifications, so you know when I actually do go live. That's the other part of it. Or I believe you'll get a notification on an event, so if I schedule a time, that will actually come out. So one of the things that came up last time was having an actual Slack channel specifically for all of your questions related to any given project, maybe in your own projects. Let me know if that's something you guys want to see. Let me know in the comments below. That would be awesome. Eknos Technology Solutions. Cool. What does Eknos Technology Solutions do? Thanks for joining us. Okay, so main question is, why do we need front end with Django? Like a different front end framework where Django's front end templates are good enough. So when you use Django's built-in templates, what you end up doing is you use JavaScript in some form, right? So even if you're using Bootstrap, you're still using some JavaScript, right? So Bootstrap is the design of it, right? So if you end up wanting some extra functionality or something like Ajax, then you have to use something like jQuery or any other sort of library that would handle that Ajax for you. You could probably even write it in pure JavaScript, but it's definitely more challenging than just using jQuery. So that's where when you start to use jQuery or any JavaScript library, you start to build up this like idea of, oh, well, maybe I need to change how the front end works altogether, right? Because you're using jQuery in general or any sort of JavaScript library in the front end, you might think like, hey, maybe there's a better way to do all of it. And that's where the front end frameworks come in. That's where these single page applications come in, is they promise to do all of the things on the client side or in the browser better than the solutions that you have to write out yourself, right? That's essentially why you would end up replacing Django templates. And I actually agree with you. I think Django templates are good enough for the majority of projects. In fact, I would say that it might be a while before those aren't even close to good enough that you have to use a front-end framework. Now, those of you who use React or Angular or one of the other ones all the time, you might debate me on this completely, but there's a lot of built-in features to these templates and also the template context processors, like being able to use request.user, for example. Those things are just really, really nice, and it helps speed up your flow as a back-end Django developer. Now, if you're a front-end guy and that's all you do, then yeah, you probably will end up using some sort of front-end framework. That's just straight up what it is. Eknos, let me know if you have other questions related to that. Very, I think it's a discussion that will be an ongoing one because there are a lot of benefits to both, plain and simple. So, Chemo, thank you for your continuous content. Chemo, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I really just want to help you guys launch your projects, whatever that means. So if it means using my stuff, great. If it doesn't, that's cool too. I have no problem with that. I mean, the reason I built Coding for Entrepreneurs or did any of this stuff in the first place was that it was to help people actually bring out their projects. And I believe that a big part of that is learning how to code. Now, that's not the only way to do it, but a big part of it, if you have some inkling to learn how to code, I wanted to make that as simple as possible, and I did it the way I knew how, plain and simple. Okay, thanks for the question or the comment, Chemo. Appreciate it. Chemo Sabi. Daniel Smith, what do you think of data science? I think it's awesome. Making data-driven decisions is, well, it's like a core of science, right? So the scientific method is based about data-driven decisions, right? So you form a hypothesis, you run an experiment, i.e. collect some data about that hypothesis, and then you find some answers or some new hypotheses to do it all over again. And I think data science does that on a whole nother level. And for big things, right? So macro, but it also does it for micro. So like, you know, is the color of this button better than the color of that button? Data science allows us to start to understand those things a little bit better. And I also think as a whole, it allows us to understand our users better, customers better. I mean, it does help us with that, but there is some tricky things when it comes to collecting data. Sometimes there's a line that gets crossed and that gets a little bit tricky. So I think as a data scientist, your role would be to ensure that you are protecting users' data and doing things in an ethical way and being very open and honest about the way you use data. For example, codingforentrepreneurs.com, we do collect data. One of the things we collect is your IP address to know where you are, because that will help us better tailor content for our users. That's the only reason we collect it, literally the only reason. And then from there, we will be able to better assess how to go about going forward, right? That helps us with these live streams, like, you know, when should we be doing them to maximize who we connect with, right? So like, if most of our users are in a different time zone than I'm in, then I should probably adjust the way the video is done. I mean, the same sort of concept is true for the things that we do on our website. Another thing that we collect is basically what you're watching, how much you're watching of it, and I mean, you should probably know that because you can resume playing on certain videos and you can see when you've finished one and stuff like that. But that also helps us understand better about our content. So all of that stuff will build into richer understanding of our users using data science. So it's really interesting. I think if you have some math background, learning more about data science is something that I highly, highly recommend. Ignos, you meant front-end framework like Angular, React, etc. So going back to that question about, you know, what's the difference between, or why would you use Angular or React versus just Django's built-in templates? I mean, honestly, there are a lot of benefits to using a front-end framework like Angular or React that help the user interface, right? So the user interface or the user experience as a result of the user interface can be sped up or changed because of Angular and React in less time, right? So everything you can do in Angular and React, you can do in pure JavaScript. You could write it out in pure JavaScript, but it takes a lot more time. Just like everything you do in Django, you could write in pure Python because it's written in Python. You could do that. So the advantage of using a framework is all that work is already done for you. Now, when it comes to a front-end framework versus Django's templates do have some limitations in the sense that they aren't JavaScript. You have to use JavaScript to make better user interfaces, and that's where Angular and React really shine. And so you might end up using one of those things in lieu of the Django templates. I mean, I still go back and forth on this a lot because as a Django developer, I can build these front ends with just Django templates much faster than I can with Angular, even though I know Angular pretty well and I can do Angular projects pretty quickly. But I still always sort of default to Django because that's what I come from. But if you're coming from Angular or React and you want to build a backend, then you would probably look at Django as an API service or a backend API service with just one page rendering your Angular or React project. Hopefully that answers your question more thoroughly, Eknos. Thank you for those questions. Hong Tran asked, what's the Slack link? I actually don't have a Slack link yet. I'm asking you guys if that's something that you're interested in. If you are, let me know in the chat or thumbs up on this video or, comment below the video. I think there's